Hello, friends. Welcome always to another episode of A Drink from Upstream. I think today's episode is number 39, but it's our roughly 5 minute devotional on just a way to encourage you midweek in your faith as you strive to follow Jesus. So I want to play off of last week's text, which was the end of Matthew chapter 21, of verses 23 through 46. And at the beginning of that passage and at the end of the passage, we find a reoccurring theme from the chief priests and the elders who were confronting Jesus. In the chronological order of Matthew's gospel, we're in the Passion Week now. And so they are challenging Jesus' authority. And in the opening scene, they refuse to acknowledge who John is as a prophet of God and the one who was to point out who Jesus is as the divine Son of God and the Savior of the world. And but they didn't want to say that he was from man because the crowds considered John to be a prophet of God. And so they were afraid of the crowds. And so they wouldn't make a decision. They were basically surrendering leadership and being cowards because they were afraid of the crowds. At the end of our passage, at the end of chapter 21, they are again afraid of the crowds. They wanted to arrest Jesus, and we know from Mark's gospel at this point, they actually were already seeking to find ways to destroy Jesus or to kill him. And at this point, they wanted to arrest him and start that process, but they were again afraid of the crowds. And I find this to be quite interesting. Matthew, of course, is writing very intelligently, wanting his audience, at this point, us, to recognize something in this. And if you didn't get to hear that sermon, you certainly can check that out on either our podcast or on our YouTube channel. Nonetheless, this reoccurring theme of these leaders being afraid of the crowds and therefore not being willing to admit certain things or not making decisions. This is a common thing for us. And I look at our world right now and the things that are taking place, and there are a lot of people who are afraid. And I want to encourage you as a person of faith. I mean, there's no doubt. I listen to the news, I read the news, and I see the things that are going on, and it is disturbing. I'm truly disturbed about this. But I want to encourage us and you as a person of faith to consider what's motivating you right now, or what are the feelings that you're allowing to kind of rule the day in your own heart and in your mind. Because if it's fear, that's not good, friend. You're going to begin to make decisions that are not the right decisions. You're going to begin to be controlled by that fear in a way that's going to cause you to be unfaithful to God. And so I want to use this A Drink from Upstream to encourage you to not give into fear, to not be swayed or motivated by fear, certainly not to be controlled by fear. And if you're already in that direction, I want to interrupt that and cause you to shake that off and say, no way, I'm not, as a person of faith, I will not be controlled by fear. I'm not going to fear the crowds. I'm not going to fear my leaders. I'm not going to fear life or death or anything else, because I believe in Jesus Christ, and he is the victorious Savior over this world and all that entails. And so when I say not be afraid of your leaders, I'm not saying we don't obey our leaders, we don't respond to our leaders, but we're not going to be controlled by a fear of our leaders. We see some of them being controlled by fear and making decisions that are not good right now, but let us not be part of that, right? Let us not be controlled by that. And so I'm going to leave you with a simple proverb. It's in Proverbs 29, and it's verse 25, and it says this. It says that the fear of man will prove to be a snare. A snare would be like a trap, something that would catch you, harm you, hold you back. and then cause you to be a victim of whatever comes your way. And so the fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is safe. So I want to encourage you to reference that proverb, to memorize that proverb, and to live by it. Trust the Lord, and that is the antidote to living in the fear of man. So there you go, a drink from Upstream. God bless you. I hope that's helpful for you today.